Good evening and Ramadan Mubarak. This is the Sultanate of Oman television with tonight's news bulletin. But first, let's begin with the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq greets His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh on his re-election as the President of Djibouti. Decisions of COVID-19 Supreme Committee for the holy month of Ramadan come into effect, including lockdown for all commercial activities and a movement ban to people and vehicles starting from 9 p.m. till 4 a.m. And the Ministry of Health reports 9 deaths and 1,269 new cases of COVID-19 in the Sultanate. Thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Ismail Omar Guelleh of Djibouti on him be re-elected as President of the Republic for a 5th term. His Majesty the Sultan also received a cable of thanks from His Majesty Naruhito Emperor of Japan in reply of His Majesty's the Sultan's greetings cable on the Emperor's birthday. The latest decisions from the Supreme Committee on COVID-19 for Ramadan starts today amid the sharp increases in the number of people infected or affected by the pandemic. The newly released decisions aims to stop the spread of the virus and minimize the burden on the health section. The restrictions include night lockdown, the ban on social gathering and Taraweeh prayers in mosques. The Supreme Committee stated that the decisions are reviewed on a continuous basis and according to the pandemic situation in the country. The decisions prioritize the safety of the public while taking into account the socio-economic factors and the need to relax the measures once the pandemic situation improves. Meanwhile, some activities have been exempted from the night lockdown decisions, which include transport of healthcare personnel, emergency vehicles involved in electricity and water services. Even private hospitals as well as pharmacies can continue to function as regulated by the Ministry of Health. The operations at seaports and airports can continue while trucks of all types from 3 tons and above and water and wastewater tankers have also been exempted from the ban. Factories can operate while loading and unloading operations can be carried out inside, but employees must stay only on the premises. Fuel stations will remain open as regulated by the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion in coordination with the marketing companies. Employees working in press and media organizations, both public and private, whose job requires them to be at work during the ban period will be exempted, and the Minister of Information will provide them with the required permits. Fishermen, honey breeders and food laboratories will be exempted, and the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources will provide them with the required permits. The Minister of Health announced that new 1,269 cases and 9 deaths of COVID-19 have been registered in the Sultanate today, bringing the total number to 175,633 cases. The total number of deaths reached 1,807. The total recovered cases reached 155,645, which is 89% of the total recovery rate. The ministry indicated that the total number of inpatients reached 778, among which 264 are in intensive care units around the healthcare institutions in the Sultanate. Bank Muscat has announced the contribution of 1 million Omani Riyals to the Ministry of Health to support the ministry's efforts in combating the COVID-19 pandemic. This contribution will help the ministry to provide more vaccine doses to people in Oman and is part of the bank's plan and the strategy of enhancing its role in the field of community services and social responsibility. The bank would also continue to collaborate with the different institutions in the country to ensure the success of all measures to combat the spread of the pandemic. Sheikh Sheikh Khalid bin Mustahil Al-Mashani, chairman of the bank's board of directors, said they appreciate with great pride all the efforts made by the government during this difficult period, especially those exerted by the Supreme Committee in charge of dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic and other relevant institutions. Bank Muscat will support and cooperate with all efforts that serve and strengthen the beloved nation. They believe that extending support to the Minister of Health is both a national duty and social responsibility. They all are following all the steps and measures undertaken by the Supreme Committee to ensure the safety of all. You are with the Sultanate of Oman television, and yet to come in our news bulletin. According to environmental experts, the climate change is amongst a barrage of threats pushing the UK's woods and trees to a crisis point.
COVID-19 everyday precautions. Follow these easy steps to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. If you sneeze or cough, cover your nose and mouth with a tissue or use your elbow. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Clean and disinfect surfaces around your home and work frequently. Keep a distance between yourself and others if you must be in public. Wear a cloth face covering over your mouth and nose when around others. Carry a small bottle of hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Getting vaccinated is one of the many steps you can take to protect yourself and others from COVID-19. Protection from COVID-19 is critically important because for some people, COVID-19 can cause severe illness or death. Vaccines work with your immune system, so your body will be ready to fight the virus if you are exposed. After you've been fully vaccinated against COVID-19, you should keep taking precautions in public places or when you are with unvaccinated people. Getting vaccinated against COVID-19 and following everyday precautions to protect yourselves and others will offer the best protection from COVID-19. Get vaccinated against COVID-19 to protect yourself and others.
Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. The free zones in Salalah and Sohar attracted new investments worth around 150 million Omani Riyals last year. Asiad Group pointed out that 9 industrial and logistic projects were localized in the 2 free zones, in addition to the importing and exporting 105,000 containers as well as 3 million tons of cargo. The group stated that the exceptional results were achieved thanks to the integrated logistic solutions despite the impact of corona pandemic on the global economy. Oman oil price June delivery recorded an increase today by 95 cents, amounting to $62.70 per barrel. The average price of Oman crude oil April delivery reached $60.85 per barrel, increasing by $6.60 compared to the price of March delivery. And now we're moving to the international news. A senior U.S. official today berated Lebanese officials for failing to agree on a government while millions of Lebanese endure mounting economic and social hardship, urging leaders to show sufficient flexibility. David Hale, U.S. Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs, said the international community were ready to help, but they can do nothing meaningful without a Lebanese partner. Hale spoke on a 2-day visit to Lebanon amid a months-long political deadlock and dangerous rift between the president and prime minister designate that has prevented the formation of a new cabinet tasked with halting the country's rapid economic collapse. The outgoing government resigned last August following a massive explosion at Beirut's port that killed 211 people, wounded more than 6,000 and damaged entire neighborhoods in the capital. The local currency has been in a free fall since late 2019, losing around 90% of its value. The government defaulted on its foreign debt last year, and nearly half the population has been pushed into poverty and unemployment. And now to Niger. A fire fueled by high winds swept through an elementary school in Niger's capital, killing 20 children. The pupils aged between 7 and 13 were attending class at the time the fire began at around 4:30 p.m. local time yesterday. Some of the school's classrooms were inside buildings, though other classes were held outdoors in straw huts. Prime Minister Onhomodu Mahamadou and Interior Minister Al-Kache Al-Hada have visited the scene and gave their condolences to the grieving families. The UNICEF expressed its condolences to the families of the victims and said it was working closely with the authorities and its partners on the ground to provide support and assistance to accompany the children and their families. United States U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Wednesday it was an important movement as he was set to brief NATO about U.S. plans to withdraw all troops from Afghanistan by the 20th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks. At the NATO headquarters in Brussels, ahead of meeting with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, Blinken had these to say.
This is an important moment for our alliance. Almost 20 years ago, after the United States was attacked on 9/11, together we went into Afghanistan to deal with those who attacked us and to make sure that Afghanistan would not again become a haven for terrorists who might attack any of us. And together we have achieved the goals that we set out to achieve. And now it is time to bring our forces home. President Biden will speak to this in a few hours in the United States, and I'm here to work closely with our allies, with the Secretary General, on the principle that we've established from the start: in together, adapt together, and out together.
A carpet of bluebells in a British forest, a sight long awaited and enjoyed by a countryside enthusiast every spring. However, scenes like these are under threat, according to experts, due to things such as nitrogen pollution, land development and climate change. Imported diseases and invasive plants are also amongst the barrage of threats undermining woodland health. All woodlands in England and most in other parts of the UK exceeds thresholds for nitrogen pollution, which is a common byproduct of farming. These can change the natural makeup of the habitat by damaging delicate lichens and helping grass out-compete wildflowers. Only 7% of native woods in the UK are in a good ecological condition. Seasonal events are also being thrown off by climate change, with spring happening around 8.4 days earlier. Woodland and trees are essential to catching carbon and storing it for centuries, as well as releasing oxygen. Experts say they now need to quadruple the number of trees they plant in order to protect the planet. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and to end this news bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq greets His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh on his re-election as the President of Djibouti. Decisions of COVID-19 Supreme Committee for the holy month of Ramadan come into effect, including lockdown for all commercial activities and a movement ban to people and vehicles starting from 9 p.m. till 4 a.m. And the Minister of Health reports 9 deaths and 1,269 new cases of COVID-19 in the Sultanate. And with the end of tonight's news bulletin, we would like to remind you to keep following the precautionary measures, wearing face masks, washing hands, and keeping physical distance from each other. Once again, Ramadan Mubarak to you all, the month of devotion and obedience. Ramadan Mubarak from all of us here in the studio, directed by Salim bin Mohammed Al-Butaini, and English News Editor-Chief Ahmed Al-Habsi. With myself here, Abdullah bin Ahmed al-Rubai, with the entire news team, we thank you for joining us. Wish you a pleasant evening and once again, Ramadan Mubarak.